So Peacemaker just concluded its season 2 and boy, it was such a disappointment, at least to me. This is definitely James Gunn's weakest project. I mean, the show had the time to give a freaking ego an entire character arc. I mean, they had to bring in an entirely new character in this show who, in my opinion, is irrelevant just to push the narrative that Eagle was a prime Echo. So I was waiting for all the episodes to be out so I can binge watch them, which I did. I was really excited to see this season, especially coming from Superman movie, which is my beloved movie. I genuinely love that movie to bits. The season 1 of Peacemaker was quite enjoyable, although I didn't like the unnecessary and excessive jokes in the series. The storyline was quite good, but the season 2 was a big disappointment for me, and here are my reasons. Hi everyone, Izugo here and welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while, but I've been dealing with a lot of real life issues. I'm back now. I'm fully back right now with all the DC news and gists and all those stuff. So I hope you're not mad. Please bear with me. In this channel, we talk about movies, especially DC movies. So if you're into stuff like that, please do well to hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification bell icon. These are the only way you can help me in this channel. So thank you so much as you're doing that. Alright, speaking of Peacemaker, let me just make it clear that the whole show is not entirely bad. But some things in the show didn't really sit well with me. Okay, to make it easy to understand, let me just divide it into things I loved about the show and things I didn't really like about the show. Starting with things I didn't like in this show. Now, if I'm to plot this show in a graph, it's going to look like this. It's going to charge up in the beginning of the show and then flat out at the middle of the show, and then with a very sharp downward trend at the end of the show. I think this is exactly what happened. In every TV show, the final episode, that's the season finale, is always what everyone looks up to. Is what everyone is excited to see and where everything has to come together, and that's where the most activities happen. But in Peacemaker season 2, barely anything happened in the final episode. Like seriously, when I heard that the final episode was going to be longer, I was very excited because I was like, okay, this is where a showdown is going to happen. Well, the season finale had a lot of unnecessary scenes, and if I'm to isolate the really important events in that episode, I could easily condense the entire episode into 15 minutes. And I could go further by transferring those 15 minutes into episode 7, and the season will have a very good and eventful ending. Somebody made a comment that the show actually ended in episode 7, and episode 8 was just like to tie up loose ends and set up the show for the next events or in next movies. I agree with that opinion because that's the only way I could understand the reason why they did what they did in the show. James Gunn has repeatedly mentioned that you don't need to watch every project in the DCU for you to understand the individual projects, which is true to an extent. But boy, if you didn't watch Superman, I think you'll be confused by something that happened in this show. For instance, they had to contact Lex in this show for them to get the technology that can track the doorways to this pocket universe. And one of Lex's most loyal workers actually had a big role to play in this show. If you didn't watch Superman, I think you'll be confused in that aspect. Although some of the events that happened in Superman was explained in dialogues, but I think you need to watch Superman for you to get the full picture of this Peacemaker show. One of the things I didn't like in this show is that Adebayo, who is one of my favorite characters in this show, didn't really have much screen time and wasn't really doing much in this show. The show had the time to give a freaking ego an entire character arc. They had to bring in an entirely new character in this show who, in my opinion, is irrelevant just to push the narrative that Eagle was a prime Ego. I know he's trying to pander to animal lovers like he does in almost all his projects, but he did that at the detriment to other vital characters in this show, which I wasn't really comfortable with. And what exactly is the reason for the unfunny jokes in the post-credit scenes? It was so random and unnecessary. I feel like each episode of the show should have been a little bit longer. And for the things I loved about the show, I would admit, I was wrong about the main title song. It really grew on me. In my previous video, I mentioned that James Gunn shouldn't have changed this song because to me it was iconic and catchy. So when I saw the new song, I was, disappointed. But as time grew on, I warmed up to it and I enjoyed it. I had to dance along with it. And I loved how it was integrated in the final episode of this show. That was Chef Kiss. Where this show truly shines is in the emotional depth. This show has very strong emotional depth. These are my favorite bits in this show when it comes to emotional depth. The first one was with Chris and Harcourt in the prison cell. That showed me that John Cena is really a great actor, the best among the retired wrestlers. He is really good at showing emotions in his movies. My second favorite event was with Adebayo and her girlfriend, where they had to realize that both of them were passionate about totally different things. And if any of them were to convince the other to pursue their passion, that the other is going to suffer. That scene alone resonates deeply with me, and I think a lot of us can relate to that. I think this is where James Gunn shines. He knows how to write very emotional stories and very relatable characters. Stories that makes you remember things that happened in your personal life. You can see your life in his stories. This is exactly what I appreciate about James Gunn's writing. He knows how to write emotional characters. My third favorite event in this show is with Adebayo and the entire teammate, where she had to convince John Cena that he is not the problem, he's not under a cause, and he's not the reason why people are dying around him. The only reason is because he listens to other people and not listening to himself. And these two events are where Adebayo really shines in this show. And it's very unfortunate that it's just in the final episode. And this is why I didn't really like how James Gunn used that character in this show. The character had the potential to do way more than she did. She was just brooding in the entire season and then suddenly shines up in the last 2 episodes. This is the only reason why I didn't like how she was used. Also, these events I just mentioned were the highlights of the entire final episode. And this is to tell you the amount of irrelevant scenes in this episode. They had time to show not 1 but 2 rock and roll artist performances in this show. Are we watching a Peacemaker show or a rock and roll concert? Yes, James Gunn, we get it. You love rock and roll artists, but you don't have to put it in the entire episode. So yeah, that's it for me. I was really excited to watch this season. I really wanted to like this season, but it was a letdown for me. So my final rating for this show is a 6 out of 10 for me, unfortunately. For now, there's no information out there about a renewal of this show, and James Gunn hasn't yet gotten a plan for a season 3. So we just have to wait and see, I guess. I think this is the final DC project for this year, and we are really excited. I think a lot of us are really excited for what's coming next. Also, I was hoping to see Blue Beetle cameo in this show. At least let us get a concrete confirmation that he's still in the new DCU. But it's only the escalator that we got, and I was really disappointed. Okay, that's it for now. Please do wait to hit the like and subscribe button to get more DC news and DC updates. And I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.